the FBI director and you don't know what that meant? That meant assassination.
Okay, this is massive news. Congresswoman McIver is set to be charged over the Delaney Hall incident. I think you guys all remember the footage. Now, according to the New Jersey Globe, Congresswoman McIver is the only one who's set to be charged as of right now. And let's be honest, when you look at the footage and listen to Homeland Security, they really are calling her out, especially when it comes to the body slamming.
DHS also says that, in their words, you were body slamming an ICE officer. Is that what we're looking at? Is that what happened?
Absolutely no. I mean, I honestly do not know how to body slam anyone. There's no video that supports me body slamming anyone. We, as Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman said, we were simply there to do our job, therefore oversight visit. And
this has to be one of my favorite videos on the internet because the Congresswoman is saying, I don't know how to body slam. In fact, there's no videos of it. Meanwhile, there's literally a video during her interview of the Congresswoman's body slamming into Homeland Security officers.
I hope that all of the body cam is released. It was a very tense situation. It unfortunately did not have to be like that. They created that confrontation. They created that chaos, and then ultimately went to arrest the mayor of the largest city of New Jersey, who is my mayor and my constituent.
Now, I do want to point out we don't have all of the details. This is being reported from the New Jersey Globe. However, when it comes to New Jersey politics, they have a lot of connections and they are a reputable source. So I also want to point out, why is she only being selected, not the other two members of Congress? Well, number one, and the most obvious thing, Homeland Security often cites her as being the number one offender of assaulting the Homeland Security officers when you look at the footage. Number two, and many people forget this, she's on the Homeland Security Oversight Board, which means she is held to a higher standard as far as not breaking protocols, or at the very least causing a disturbance at an ICE detention center, which falls under Homeland Security. Now, I also want to point out a resolution has been submitted by Representative Buddy Carter to pretty much eliminate the positions of those three members of Congress, to include McIver, who's on the Homeland Security Oversight Committee.
A heartfelt apology for assaulting that ICE agent outside Newark the other day. Do you think it's appropriate behavior for members of Congress to assault ICE agents? Are you sure you wouldn't like to apologize for your assault, Congresswoman?
Now, that footage was sourced from Loomer Unleashed if you want to go check out some more footage. However, that's the perfect segue. Speaking of Unleashed, Donald Trump did not hold back as far as how he feels about former FBI Director James Comey.
He knew exactly what that meant. A child knows what that meant. If you're the FBI director and you don't know what that meant assassination.
There's no other way to say this. Donald Trump is pissed off, and so is the entire Trump administration. Some are calling to arrest former FBI Director James Comey for this post right here, 8647. They're interpreting this as an assassination attempt or a call for an assassination attempt from the former FBI Director.
And it says it loud and clear. Now, he wasn't very competent, but he was competent enough to know what that meant. And he did it for a reason, and he was hit so hard. Because people like me, and they like what's happening with our country. Our country has become respected again, and all this. And he's calling for the assassination of the president.
Obviously,
so as you can see, even Donald Trump is saying James Comey is calling for the assassination of him, of a president. Now, we will get into the critiques of this. Some people are saying Republicans are going way overboard, but what about arresting him? Here's what Donald Trump has to say.
Apologized and said he
well, he
wasn't calling for
violence.
But
look, he's a very bad.
What do you want to see happen? What do you want to see happen?
I don't want to take a position on it because that's going to be up to Pam and all of the great people. But I will say this: I think it's a terrible thing. And when you add his history to that, if he had a clean history, he doesn't. He's a dirty cop. He's a dirty cop. And if he had a clean history, I could understand if there was a leniency. But I'm going to let them make that decision.
Now, it has been confirmed that James Comey is officially under investigation. We don't know all of the details. However, we do know that very high-level members of Trump's administration, they do want him put in jail.
The rule of law says people like him who issue direct threats against the President of the United States, essentially issuing a call to assassinate him, must be held accountable under the law.
Do you believe Comey should be in jail?
I do. Any other person with the position of influence that he has, people who take very seriously what a guy of his stature, his experience, and what the propaganda media has built him up to be, I'm very concerned for the president's life.
So keep in mind, that's the director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, saying on Fox News, yes, I do want him in jail, and I do believe he should be in jail. Now, of course, there are going to be some critics of all of this saying the Trump administration, they are blowing this up. They don't need to be accusing Comey of everything. Let's move on.
I mean, she says he should be behind bars. Kristi Noem, Kash Patel, others are saying that there should be investigations over this. Your legal take, Ellie?
That's ridiculous. I mean, look, I am no fan of Jim Comey's. I've been very critical of a lot of the things he's done. I think posting this was extremely reckless, to use a phrase that he once used, and stupid. He has acknowledged that. He took it down. He said, I should not have posted this. This is not criminal. This is not a criminally chargeable threat against the president. It's political speech. It's way too broad. It's stupid. It's reckless. It's not criminal. That's just hyperbole that you're hearing from the cabinet members there.
Now, I was curious, what does James Comey have to say about all of this? I know he apologized, but he must have some sort of update. Well, he's actually promoting his own book, 18 hours ago. Nice, from Publishers Weekly, out Tuesday, May 20th. It's his new book, so if you want to go check that out after he posted that disgusting post, go ahead and buy that book from James Comey.
Or get rid of, right? Now, people on the right, the president's supporters, have taken this to mean that this was a threat, a direct threat to the president of the United States, an assassination threat. Obviously, the president has had 2 assassination threats, so people take these types of things very seriously.
Oh, it's not threats, it's attempts. Not a threat. Donald Trump has had 2 attempts on his life. We keep forgetting that. Just millimeters away, we wouldn't have a Donald Trump right now. Let's continue the coverage, because I find it hilarious how much we are diminishing any threat when the president has had actual attempts on his life.
Kristi Noem says that it's now under investigation. You see other people, including Tommy Tuberville, saying this is a very serious matter. It's not clear that this is what really this is, right? Jim Comey did respond to us. We reached out to him, and he referred us to a replacement post he put on social media in which he says, I didn't realize some folks associate those numbers with violence. It never occurred to me, but I oppose violence of any kind, so I took the post down.
Now, you are probably noticing a very common theme. It looks like some people are forgetting the context between the relationship of the FBI and Donald Trump, specifically James Comey. I mean, what if the leadership of Iran all posted 8647? We would not say, oh, it was just a random post, they were walking on the beach. You look at the context, and you look at whether or not those people don't like Donald Trump, and that is why the Trump administration is not messing around with this social media post.
How serious is the administration taking this, and what are the next steps going to be?
We're taking this very seriously. As you mentioned, the Department of Homeland Security, and specifically Sean Curran, the current Secret Service director, a man who has been willing to lay down his life as the lead of President Trump's Secret Service detail for years now. He takes this seriously and is leading the investigation into this threat. There has to be accountability for this. There was a Rutgers study that just came out a little over a month ago, Jesse, that asked respondents their view on these calls to assassinate President Trump. And over 55% of respondents felt that murdering President Trump would be, quote unquote, somewhat justified.
Now, I have to let you know, not too many news outlets are really even talking about this. This is obviously pushed by the right and conservatives. Here's what MSNBC had to briefly say about it.
We heard from FBI Director Kash Patel that they're going to be investigating it. You already read a number of Trump officials who said they would as well. It's hard to know whether or not there'll be a there. I mean, Comey took the post down immediately. He apologized. It is still surprising to me that he is so disliked on the right, considering the role he helped play in Donald Trump's original election in 2016. But this is certainly, for those, in the Nogosphere who want to talk about something else, who want to be angry about something, James Comey provided a convenient target for them right now, and they're happy to do it. We should also note that after this, Willie, this brouhaha with the social media post, Comey went back on social media later today to promote his new book, which is coming out in the next few weeks.
Okay, so we're gonna do exactly what MSNBC is telling us to do. Let's talk about something else. And don't worry, you're really going to enjoy this. Here are the new approval ratings for Donald Trump.
I think it's time for a bit of a reality check, right? We were going to late April. Donald Trump's approval rating, his net approval seemed to be falling. He seemed to be adios amigos. People were writing his political obituary. He is rising from the dead. Look at this. Hello, Trump's net approval rating among voters. This is the Reuters Ipsos polling. Look at this. In late April, he was 8 points underwater. But look at where he was in the most recent poll among voters. He's up 7 points to a -1 point net favorability rating. This is not the picture that I think a lot of people were thinking that we would be painting in late April. I think a lot of people expected his approval rate to keep dropping, but at least according to Reuters Ipsos, it's in fact rising.
Put this then in a larger perspective, Harry.
Yeah, okay. So, this is just one poll, right? But let's take a look across an aggregate of polls. What are we seeing here? And I want to compare both to where Donald Trump is now versus where he was in late April, as well as where he was at this point in term number one. What you see is at -6 points, he is a little bit worse off than he is in the Ipsos Reuters polling, but he is considerably better than he was in late April when he was 9 points underwater. And more than that, look at this. He's nearly 10 points better than he was back in May 16th of 2017 in his first term. So what we see is Donald Trump's not just doing better than he was doing in late April of 2025. He's doing considerably better than he was doing at this point in term number one, about 10 points better than he was doing at this point in term number one.
In a vacuum, -6 isn't good, but in Trumpian terms, against himself, it's actually a pretty good position for him to be in politically compared to himself.
Exactly right. This is considerably higher than he has traditionally been.
So the big question here is why, Harry? Why did it bottom out? Why might it be rising?
Okay, why? Well, take a look at the chance of a recession. It's actually falling. The chance of a recession is falling. In late April, it was 60% according to J.P. Morgan. Look at where it is now. It's less than 50%. How about Goldman Sachs? You see the same thing. 45%, now falling to 35%. The bottom line is, it is the economy. As the chance of a recession has fallen, as the trade wars have kind of collapsed a little bit, at least with China, Trump trying to make a deal, we do see that. I do think that the voters are responding to this, and therefore we're seeing Trump's approval rating going up.
Now, I think you'll find this interesting. Remember, when Donald Trump's life was almost taken twice, and he had all of these threats coming in, like Iran was threatening to try and take out Donald Trump, his approval ratings just kept going higher, higher, and higher. Now, I'm very curious to see if Donald Trump's approval rating also goes higher because of what James Comey posted. And remember, it doesn't matter if he posted an actual life-threatening post. The perception is that he did. And this is what Donald Trump is saying and the administration. Thus, we most likely have way more support for Donald Trump. Even if you don't like what he has to say about the economy or other things, many MAGA supporters are supporting Trump in this instance.
Do you believe that Comey is goading you guys to come after him because he wants to be a political martyr? He wants to be set up so he can say, oh, look, we were right. Donald Trump is a dictator. They're coming after me. They're arresting me. They're interrogating me. I was just using my free speech.
Whatever his intent, I will tell you that there is a guy in Georgia who is issuing threats on my life about a month ago, and he's in jail today. He has been indicted with a crime, as he should have been, and he is in jail as we speak. So whatever James Comey intent, he and people like him need to be held to account according to the law, which is something that he claims to have given his life for and stands by the rule of law. Fantastic. The rule of law says people like him who issue direct threats against the President of the United States, essentially issuing a call to assassinate him, must be held accountable under the law.
So again, the Trump administration is not messing around. They don't care if this is for promotion. They don't care who you are because of the severity of the situation with Donald Trump. And he's at a very, probably at the highest risk assessment as far as the potential of somebody trying to take out Donald Trump. Anything can be perceived as a threat. I mean, if you look at the guy the wrong way, I'm sure you might get a call from the Secret Service. Again, if Donald Trump did not have his life almost taken twice, and the way that it went down, one time getting hit in the ear, another time a man was at the golf course getting ready to take him out, a lot of people keep forgetting how important the context is, especially when it comes to the escalation of something. And for James Comey to say, oh, a cool shell formation on my beach walk, very odd flex. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about all of this. Thank you guys for being here. God bless, and we'll see you all later.